Coaching with AT. Well, friends, thanks for your overwhelming response on the interview coaching that I had shared in the previous series. And from now onwards, I'm starting a new series that is about Talent Assessment Center. So we are going to cover that in 3 or 4 series, and I'm going to tell you in detail about what is Talent Assessment Center or Talent Development Center. But before I get into it, let me share with you that I had gone for my first talent assessment center maybe around 18 or 19 years back. And I still remember when I went for that assessment center, I was absolutely nervous because we were not told that why we have been called for this and what is the purpose of this. We were told that you have to come and attend 1 day workshop in which there are certain activities will be given to you and you will be assessed. And there was a lot of anxiety, and there was you can say a lot of fear that probably the organization is thinking about our exit plan, because they would like to check that what is our current assessment levels, and from those assessment levels, if we are not coming up to the expectation, we may be asked to leave. And that is how my first experience of Talent Assessment Center started. But let me tell you, friends, that Talent Assessment Center is one of the most tested and a proven mechanism that helps to assess the competency level of people. And from here onwards, not only that your potential is assessed, but also it is seen that what are the developmental plans that can be made for your development, and how organizations plays a very important role in the overall development of you, which later on helps you not only being more successful in the role that you are doing currently, but also for the future roles. Which means that tomorrow, if there are certain new job positions that are that gets open, you get more opportunities, and the organization benefits with respect to that somebody internally is getting moved up, and the motivation and the involvement of the person is high. So let me take you through the first series, which is very basic about that. What is this Talent Assessment Center is all about? What is the history? What it all involves? What kind of various kinds of forms and tests that are involved, and what is the purpose of Assessment Development Center? This will give you a detailed idea about that. What is it all it takes? And I'm sure in your organizations, sooner or later, or maybe in other organizations, when you want to apply, you will undergo some or the other process for a senior level role or a next level role that you are applying to. So let's get into the core part of our presentation that will give you a better idea about what is Assessment Development Center. Now, if you just look at the basic idea about organization, now what are the challenges with an organization? That without a doubt, every organization wants competent people, right people to come into their system so that they can handle more strategic and more challenging work. No company wants a mediocre or less than less than average, below average people in their organization. So what are the organization challenge when it comes to getting the right people? So the first and foremost criteria is getting the right people, because if they don't get the right people, then nothing happens. So what is the process they evolve? That defines the quality of people that enters into the organization. The second is, once you got the right people, how you are going to retain them. Because if you don't have the right talent management practices, you will find that in spite of the fact that you invest good amount of money in getting the right people on board, you might lose them in sooner or later period, maybe 1 year, 2 years, 3 years time, depending on they stay with you. And then comes the third challenge is that what kind of initiatives and efforts an organization is taking to develop leadership skills. Because it's so important that when you have hired the right people, when you have invested on them to retain them, it is very important that organization has to invest a lot on your leadership skills. And the simplest reason is that based on these leadership skills, you will be becoming an asset to the organization. And organizations also understand that if it wants to grow, if it wants to attract more talent from the market, they have to develop leadership skills of their existing people. And that is why there are a lot of learning and development initiatives that takes place inside the organization. And then, as I said, the fourth challenge is how to utilize this potential for future, which means that how they can utilize their inner resources, inner talent to move into different places and take responsible positions in the organization as the organization grows. And once all these steps happens one after another, the organization become competent. And that's where the very important word competent comes into. And that's the journey that every organization runs with these five challenges. And this is a cyclic form. You get new people, you develop them, and then you take them to the next level. Now, a good competent organization means it is consisting of good competent people. So this demands a very important question, that the word competent, how do you understand that somebody is competent or not competent for a job? So we have to go a step back and understand that for any organization to have the competent people in their organization, first they have to define and decide what is competency means to them. What is the job role that they are looking at, and what kind of competencies that are involved and required for that job. And once that is defined, then you go out in the market and look for competent people who suits those competencies. And that's how, when you get people in, then you invest on them, automatically the organization starts developing itself. So this is the basic process that makes a organization competent, when you get the right competent people. So what does it mean? It simply means that if you want to take competent people, you need to do the assessment of these people. That means the potential assessment. Do they have that potential? That are they competent to the competencies that have been laid out? Now, let's say, for example, in an organization, if there are certain people who have to be moved or promoted to a similar kind of job, you don't require a detailed competency or a potential assessment framework. Just by going through their appraisal cycle or by going through their past performance, that will be an indicator that you can move them easily based on those examples from one level to the next level. So it's like deputy manager production, you move them into manager production. So the role is more or less same, and you can just judge them based on the previous behaviors in terms of the past performance or the appraisals. So people who are involved in similar kind of work, it doesn't require much of the assessment. So because you're in the similar work. But when there is a new job or a new task, you definitely need to do a lot of criterias with respect to that job and do the potential assessment of that individual, whether that individual will be fit in that role or not. Now, this could be, let's say, moving from an individual role to a people manager role, or let's say that it is moving from a one function to another function, let's say from sales to marketing, sales to HR, or from marketing to finance or distribution, whatever it may be. The moment the new role or a new job changes, you need to assess the potential of that person in terms of its competencies, whether that person will be able to do the same job in that new role with the same agility and with that same swiftness as that person is doing in the current role. And for this purpose, you require an assessment center. So this is how the birth of assessment center happens, and that is so very important. And I have heard many a times when organizations do not have a proper assessment center system, they normally tell that the promotions that happens in this organization or the selection process is very biased. So to kill that biasness, to bring more clarity into the entire system, you need to bring the assessment center into place so that the system becomes open, transparent, and very clear to everybody that this is how the things move here. And then good transparency means you get competent people and makes the organization more competent. let's go a little further and understand that what is exactly an assessment development center. So assessment development center is nothing but these are the centers that are placed by organizations in assessment and development of the competencies of employees using multiple techniques and multiple assessors to increase the objectivity. What does it simply means that how do you assess the competencies of the employees? And there are various techniques that I'm going to share, and of course with the help of multiple assessors. Now why there is mentioned multiple assessor? Because to decrease or remove the biasness, because if I am your manager and if I am evaluating you, there are very high chances that I might be biased. So in every assessment, at least for every individual, there has to be 2 or 3 different assessors at different times during that workshop. So that brings a lot of unbiasedness, clarity, and complete transparency in the process. And that is the reason it is mentioned multiple assessors. So now let's understand that what all is done in an ADC. What is the structure of an ADC, how it is defined, what all you have been. So like I remember when I went, I was very nervous, though we were told that what all is going to take place, but I have never gone through that process and had no idea that how it is going to run. But I'm sure I'm going to share it now with all of you, and those of you who have already attended would know about that what all is done in the ADC or the Assessment Development Center. So